Hello and welcome to a new episode of Jalsat Crypto on the Badwi Crypto channel. Today we are joined by Brian, the head of content at Santiment Feed, one of the leading platforms for crypto analytics, giving traders and investors a powerful on-chain and market insight. This episode is proudly sponsored by Binance. Please check all the links in the description below. But before we begin, remember, everything we share today is for educational purposes only and not financial advice. Please do your own research and stick around till the end. Like, comment, and share the content because we're going to be picking from the comments or our subscribers, people to receive a free trial of Santiment. Won't keep you waiting much longer. Let's get started. Brian, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to talking with you for the first time and discussing where we are in the markets after an eventful couple of weeks.
100%. For those who might not be familiar, could you give us a brief introduction about yourself and Santiment?
Yeah, I've been with Santiment for 6-ish years now, and I've been the head of content here. I do a lot of insights, discuss markets. We don't really give investment advice. That's not what we're about. Instead, what I do is I represent the platform that has a lot of revolutionary metrics that people have not really seen before in crypto, and they've started to really catch on over the years, especially once COVID hit, and we saw how much negative sentiment tended to fuel markets upwards, and then the greed tended to mark corrections. We really stand behind the notion of markets always move the opposite direction of the crowd's expectation. So many of you may have picked up on this, but retail typically gets it wrong. And the whales and the sharks are the ones who are typically driving markets. It's their playground, and it always will be.
100%. Just to confirm, we don't give any financial advice at all. Everything we do here is for educational purposes only. Our aim is to educate the community. All right. What is Santiment's core mission in the crypto analytics space?
Yeah, I mean, quite simply, our core mission is to give people actual digestible information to make better trading decisions for themselves using metrics that otherwise aren't really available because the blockchain and the amount of data and metrics behind every transaction is way too complex. So we simplify it and give it some transparency so that people can actually look behind the curtains and understand what's really going on at any given time within a certain cycle.
That's good. Look, there's a lot of on-chain analytics, on-chain platforms like Glassnode, Masari, Nansen, a lot of them there. What differentiates you from them? For the average users, just for them to know what differentiates Santiment from them.
Sure. Yeah. And we absolutely respect those competitors out there. I mean, I think we're all kind of in the same boat where we're trying to advance crypto information. So for those who think we're constantly trying to gun for each other, it's not really how it works. We're all kind of learning new things and innovating and understanding what another platform may be doing at any time and trying to advance ourselves in the process. But you'll see a lot of overlap between what we do and what, Glassnode and some other platforms do. We have more simplified metrics like network growth, which is the amount of new addresses created, daily active addresses, transaction volume, even MVRV, which is one of my personal favorites, one of the most valued metrics in my opinion, because it really tells you when there's a high or a low within the market. But what Santiment really does is we look at things like sentiment and development activity to understand objectively, how people are viewing the markets and how projects are actually innovating and improving themselves for the future. Because crypto doesn't have, a PE ratio or a debt to equity ratio the way you would see a traditional company or traditional stock. Maybe one day they will, for all we know. But for now, we're limited to understanding how active they're actually being, how much they're developing, trying to advance their own product to make it more future-proof and more impressionable for years or decades to come. And so what carves us out from other platforms is we're the only ones who really count notable GitHub events. And we're the only platform that really understands objectively, from like a true pragmatic sense, how greedy or how fearful the retail traders are based on any sudden price action, any sudden news event, anything Trump says, or another world leader, or a Jerome Powell in the Fed, whatever the case is, whether it's in the US or anywhere else in the world. It seems to be very US centric in the news this year, but it won't always be that way. We try to stay on top of it to see how much the crowd is overreacting or underreacting and what that's going to do to the markets.
No, that's a key thing. People's fear and greed plays a major role with the price action. Look, we understand whales do the manipulation, but then the masses, when they usually are too late, as you mentioned before, that, and they're usually wrong. But when they come all together fearful, that drives the price either down, and when they're greedy, that drives it. Gives it the blow off top type thing. So we've seen that a lot. Sentiment is a key indicator, and it's a very important indicator. I always tell my community, whenever you want to take a screenshot about your trades that you're so proud of and share it with your friends, that's the best time to sell, because most probably you're sharing it at the wrong time.
Yeah.
All right, let's just jump into it directly. What key indicators / dashboards are currently most popular among traders and analysts?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and share my screen here. Let me know that you can see my...
It's already shared, yep.
Okay, perfecto. So there's several things we can look at. I kind of wanted to highlight, our data screener, where you can see an overall scope of the market cap and volume over a 7-day span. This is probably one of the most checked in on a daily basis pages that we have from our users. And then you can have all these metrics down here. And this is really just the tip of the iceberg. You can see I sorted by development activity. We actually made an update today on our socials to give our monthly live look at which projects are giving the most notable GitHub events from a public perspective. And right now we're seeing...
Question for you on that regards. Now, up to how many projects are you covering? Is it the top 100, top 200? How many are there?
No, we've got a little over 4,000. I don't know the exact number. It might be in the 41 to 4,300 range now.
I'm assuming the number at the bottom, 4,217, that's the correct number?
There you go. Yeah, so that's how many total projects. Now, there might be some that are brand new. There's maybe 2 to 4% of them that are meme coins, because we still are going to cover any asset, even if it has zero development activity. So you'll see plenty that are going to be, zero if you look at the development activity. And occasionally it might just be a new project that doesn't have its GitHub set up yet. More likely, though, it's accurate and it's just a zero amount of innovation and improvement, because it's literally a picture of a dog and people laughing it up as they invest into it, with full understanding that it's not trying to carve its way into the future of crypto and innovate technology. It's just there because it's almost a sentiment-driven project that's almost like a social experiment. That's how I view a lot of meme coins. But for the most part, you'll see most of those 4,217 assets are going to have daily development activity, and we can track it all to see which ones are at the top of the list. And it's not a coincidence that you'll often see market cap ranks within the top 100, maybe a couple in the 200, 192 range here. But these are out of the 4,217, this is the one outlier. DeFi Chain just cracked the top 10 for the first time in a while. They're way outside of the top 2,000 right now. But most of them kind of give you a pretty good picture that the cream rises to the top, and the more active and innovative these projects are over a long period of time, they tend to
catch up.
See them.
Fundamental will catch up to the price.
Precisely.
Okay. That's one of the key metrics that traders use at the moment. Okay, that's actually a great tool to use. Now, there is several on-chain signals that you have on there. How do you mentioned earlier, how do you spot early market tops or bottoms? You mentioned MVRV, but I'm not sure if that's the one that you want to use.
Yeah, we'll look at MVRV and a couple of the top metrics. Why don't we actually start with the amount of utility, right? Because this is a very simple, easy to digest one. when transaction volume or active addresses or circulation, network growth, these are the kind of utility-driven metrics that over the long term, when they rise, prices tend to follow. It may not be immediate. These are very much long-term indicators. But let's say I go back, let's do a full decade worth of these metrics. You'll see moments on bull cycles where transaction volume, make it full screen here for you, it's clearly rising. And, sometimes we'll see
the price is rising. Yeah.
Exactly. And especially when you see transaction volume continuing to rise, even after a correction, usually that's a pretty good bullish divergence and a sign that we're going to see a second leg up. And that's exactly what we see. Sometimes it hits the reset button and you'll have some, cataclysmic year like 2022, where the Fed dramatically hikes up interest rates, and we see everything Bitcoin dropped by half. I know some assets dropped more like 70 to 85% of their market caps, but eventually you can see as utility rises, price does as well. Same with these, and I'll highlight them one at a time here. Daily active addresses are simply the amount of unique addresses interacting on the network. You've got circulation in red here, and they're actually going down, which is interesting. They're the amount of unique tokens interacting on a daily basis. So instead of addresses, you're looking at each token, taking away wash trading, because wash trading, you're looking at the same token moving over and over and over again. This is a true measure, though, of how much each token is being moved out of the total supply of Bitcoin. And then we also have network growth, which is the amount of new addresses being created on the network. And there's been
That's
a bit
funny. There's a drop there of new addresses, a big drop.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. This has been one of my primary long-term concerns. Doesn't mean prices are going to correct or anything like that. I'm not making that prediction. However, one of the arguments that they could is the fact that new wallets have been dropping significantly going back to September of 2023, and prices are going that way. So we talked about the bullish divergence. This would be a clear bearish one in terms of new wallets being created. So this cycle,
could it be like where there's
yep,
it reached a certain price. Bitcoin reached a certain price, and your average Joe or average person will not. He'll think, okay, for me to own a Bitcoin, I need to be like, it needs to be $100 and something thousand, 110, right. 109 as we speak now. So, and they don't know that you can buy Satoshis, and they like the new people, they're not gonna come into there and directly jump into Bitcoin. They'll start looking down the top 10 list. Could it be that reason? And yeah, I noticed as well, the other reason is I would think about is like institutions, which already have wallets. They're not building new wallets. They just keep on accumulating. Could that be the other side of the coin?
Well, I agree. I do think most people understand that they don't need to buy a full Bitcoin. Most people who spend at least an hour researching how to invest in crypto understand they don't have to spend, $110,000 to $115,000 in order to just dip their toes. However, even with that said, the percentage of total people on this planet who can invest right now, given the wealth disparity, given the increasing gap between the rich and the poor, I do think there's an argument that there are just less people in general that can afford to not live paycheck to paycheck. Therefore, crypto and investing in general isn't on their mind right now. And I think there have been some well-documented research papers about that. And I think that might be one of the primary reasons that we still have tons of people and institutions especially that are driving up the price that have been in crypto for a long time. But, this was around the end of COVID, mind you, at least the public consciousness kind of looked at mid to late 2023 is when things kind of got back to normal officially. And I think a lot of people have just been struggling and not really thinking about investing. Therefore, yes, exactly. The money printer came to a halt.
Yeah. Okay, that's very interesting. I'll keep track of that measure. To be honest, that's very interesting. I didn't expect it to be this much the way you're showing it.
Yeah, it's really interesting because you can see how much network growth kind of spikes near tops. And that this is when all of the FOMO comes in, like you see in late 2017, 2018. That's my earliest memory of the first bull cycle that I was involved in when I first discovered crypto. I'm not an investor now, full disclosure. I don't own any cryptocurrency. However, I was, talking to friends, putting a few $100 in back here. And I remember, people talking about this dip in January 2018 going, oh, this is the time to get in, time to get in. So all the people who were already in crypto were buying the dip, but the new people were seeing the price plummeting. So the network growth just fell off a cliff. Nobody wanted to invest here. Everyone wanted to invest when it got almost to 20,000, which was the then all-time high.
I agree. All right, what else? What other metrics are you looking at?
Yeah, so segueing over to MVRV here, I'll just go to the past year, and you can use this side panel to pretty much find any metric. It's a pretty intuitive feature once you get used to it. So I'm going to add 30-day, and I'm going to add 365-day MVRV.
So you can add them to the same screen. Okay,
exactly. And they're on the same axis, which is super helpful. So this line here represents the 0 point for both 30 and 365-day MVRV. Quite simply, when both of these lines are below the 0 axis, that means that traders are holding or trading at a deficit compared to the normal zero-sum game that is Bitcoin and every asset. Every asset is a zero-sum game. Not everyone is getting Lambos at the same time whenever prices pump. Sometimes it seems that way if you read social media, but that's not the case. On the same respect, you want to avoid buying in when you see the average traders on a 30-day basis and a 365-day basis well into profit already. So if you're buying right here, while the average returns are already, near 30% for wallets that have been active in the past year, that means you're buying with the hope that the people that have profited, exactly, and the people that have profited need to continue to profit and defy odds in an otherwise zero-sum game. So it's best to kind of be patient and wait.
The best buying opportunity is when the red and gold underneath the zero, underneath the baseline type thing.
Exactly. You can see the price moment back here in September 2024. You had another opportunity in March of 2025. And then, of course,
can I see how that looks in the bear market? Can you go back in dates?
22?
The bear market? Yeah. Let's put 2022. Yeah, okay. That'll do.
Sure. So here's 2022. You can see how much both of them.
The short term and the long term is way down.
Right.
So the long term, the 1 year is very down. That indicate some sort of a bottom. When it's reverse, it's like showed you some sort of a top. So when the gold one was on the top by far, some sort of a top indicator, temporary top at least. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So this was the FTX collapse, November of 2022. Everyone was selling off, thinking Sam Bankman-Fried and the crew ruined crypto forever. And if you bought in to everyone else's fears and concerns, you would have done quite well for yourself, even if you just sold off here, and then you could have bought back in when they both went into negative again. It's really that simple sometimes.
Yeah. No, I agree. Okay, that's a very good indicator to keep an eye on. And these are available on the basic subscription, right? The pro subscription, sorry.
Yep. Sanbase Pro, $49 a month. You get a 2-week free trial and you get all of these metrics at your disposal.
I heard you're going to give the community some free trials.
Yeah. I'm working with the team on it. I think we're going to give away 5 free Sanbase Pro memberships. In case that's not the case, you can just edit this part out, but I'm pretty sure I'll get the green light on that, and we'll run a giveaway and make some people's days and see what they think about the free month they get.
Product, yeah.
All right. Now, another thing I wanted to mention here, now that we talked about a few on-chain metrics, and of course there's many more, but just for time's sake, I wanted to show you this. And this is, in my opinion, the most powerful mid to long-term indicator out there. It simply shows the amount of coins
what did you
held.
search? Keys?
Yeah, so this is a template that I've made for myself, but you could easily get to it just by typing in supply distribution, and I can build it from scratch just by clicking balance of addresses. I can click merge, and I'm just going to click on, actually, I don't want the percent of supply. That's what percent means. I'm going to go to absolute here, which just means I want to know the actual total amount of Bitcoin held by certain groups of wallet sizes. In this case, I'm going to go merge, and I'm going to put in 10 to 100, 100 to 1,000, and 1,000 to 10,000. These three tiers own roughly just a little over 2/3 of all of Bitcoin. And then when you go beyond it, you start talking about exchange wallets, liquidity providers, things like that. So they aren't as human and active as these three kind of top tier levels of real traders are. So that's why we like this group of tiers specifically. I'm going to control click that, or I can just provide the template to everyone in the bio of this video. That's probably what people will prefer. I'm just going to make this, you can make it any color you want. I'll make it an area chart, so it's got a nice little backdrop to it. And then I'm going to add price by clicking here, and then I'll add it to the new chart I just made. Okay. So now we have, I'll make them candles here. Now we have the price and the amount of coins held by 10 to 10K BTC wallets. And you'll probably immediately notice a trend here, right?
Yeah. As the wallets are, is that what you said, wallets, right?
Exactly. So all of the
wallets are increasing, the price is increasing.
It's pretty correlated. Yeah. I mean, look how much they were dumping.
How come the other indicator shows a drop in the addresses, and here it shows an increase?
So you might be talking about the number of wallets. This shows the amount of coins held.
The amount of coins held by wallets.
Yeah. So that's exactly what we were talking about with the decreasing network growth, right? There may be less wallets active on the network, but the amount of coins held by the elite large shark and whale wallets continues to increase. So they're able to drive up prices despite their decreased numbers.
Okay.
And that's kind of
the numbers coming down shows you where it's coming. Okay.
Right. So you can see moments like October 2021 up until the FTX crash where they were dumping. And guess who actually bought when everyone was at peak fear in November 2022? Of course, the sharks and whales. They actually took a little profit here, but then they blasted off. You can see how much they accumulated. And then one final dump here. This was around, if I remember, the time that the Trump assassination attempt happened. And then it started to become clear that Trump was going to be elected. Trump was proclaiming how pro-crypto he was. This encouraged key stakeholders. And they accumulated between July 3rd of last year and now a total of just over 635,000 Bitcoin, adding about 5% to their wallets. So they've driven prices up enormously. And in my opinion, this is one of the primary reasons, with maybe a couple other reasons in there, that we've seen this recent all-time high.
Question for you: does this calculate OTC purchases as well?
It's a good question. As far as I know, it's just tracking on-chain wallets. If it's OTC, it might be outside of the blockchain's view. So this is purely going to be based on blockchain data, based on my understanding. In case I'm wrong on that, I'll of course get back to you, but call me about 90% sure on that.
Okay. All right. On another thing, let's talk about social sentiment, because the analysis we provide sometimes that's like you use social sentiment analysis to forecast potential market moves. How do we use it there?
Yeah, so we've got a lot of different ways that we can look at the sentiment of the crowd at any given time. this is one of my favorite ways to do it. We're actually just using a regular Sanbase chart with a little custom chart where I just added positive sentiment in green, negative sentiment in red. And then what I did was I made a ratio. I clicked combine on those two, and you can see the expression. X1 is positive.
You gotta do a tutorial for me at some stage.
Of course.
Like that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful the way you're doing it. You're creating your own charts based on certain metrics. It's awesome, to be honest.
It's cool. I mean, you can add daily active addresses and network growth together. The possibilities are endless. That's why I'm saying this is all just the tip of the iceberg. But based on sentiment, I've found that probably the best indicator for just looking objectively when there's greed and fear is this one. You're just looking straight up at comments across social media on X, Reddit, Telegram, 4chan, Bitcoin Talk, and Farcaster. And you're seeing when the ratio of positive versus negative sentiment is really high, that tends to lead to price drops, especially the big spikes. I know there's a lot of noise here, but I'm looking at the biggest spikes. This one and this one here, which is a very negative spike. You can see on the top left of my screen where it says 0.83, that means there's actually more negative comments than there are positive, which is pretty rare because there tends to be a bit of a bullish bias in crypto. So when you saw that, this was when Israel and the US and Iran were exchanging missiles, and it was very scary, and people had war fears, as was understandable. None of us really know what the future holds, but it turns out there was a ceasefire a few days after this. There was peak fear, and prices just took off and even went all the way up to that eventual all-time high at the time of just about 123K.
So in a way, you're telling me it's the reverse of the sentiment. So if you reverse the sentiment, you're usually on the good side. So when people are fearful, if you buy there, and when people are greedy, are very positive, that's when you usually sell.
Exactly. There's no better way to visualize it than to look at this and see that when the crowd is getting FOMO, it's usually a good time for you to take profit. When the crowd is getting FUD, or there's blood in the streets, and they're selling to the big key institutional wallets, that's when the key institutional wallets will drive up prices and punish all the retailers who sold because world circumstances freak them out. Yeah.
All right, I'm throwing at you a lot of questions because now I'm extremely interested in this. So I usually measure this through fear, and most of the community use the fear and greed index, but we know it's lagging around 24 hours. How up to date is this metrics?
This is real time. So I have it set
live.
at
It is live. You can find it live.
Yeah, you can go up to 5 minutes if you want. If I just change this to an hour, you're going to see a ton of lines here. So I'll just zoom out to like the last, call it 10 days or so. And you can see each hour. Well, look at that. There was a huge anomaly on August 17th. And right when there was a ton of FOMO, I think this might have been related to like Powell's speech or Trump talking about likely interest rate cuts. Well, that ended up being a top. And then we suddenly see prices dive about, let's see, from the bottom here, it dropped almost 5% for Bitcoin's price as soon as the FOMO came in. And this is just on a short-term basis.
It would be great if we can find like an average. You know, I'm on the fear and greed index, like I am something similar. I know that's not live, and this is live, which is awesome for trading. Give me a second. I'm gonna show you what I mean, and you probably can do it. I'm gonna ask you, but I'm gonna show you what it is that I mean, and then you tell me if that's something doable. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen now.
Sure.
When we're talking, me and my community, there's this all right. So on the fear and greed, we put max, and I tell them like under 20 is usually always a good buying opportunity. Over 70 or even 65, 70, you need to start taking profit. Something similar to show the fear and greed in the market. I'm positive that there's something you can do on your platform which is live. This is the problem with this is not live. And it gives you delayed feedback of what's happening in the market. Is there something there that we can average it out and then see it in a simple way?
Yeah. So, I mean, we have a whole API where you can plug in all of these metrics. I could easily make a model. I've never attempted to do that particular one you're describing, but I could just make a model. I can just say, give me the last year of Bitcoin's prices, give me the last year of the ratio of positive versus negative sentiment. And then I can just straight up take the average and see how far each day diverged over or below that average. And you can see a nice little chart. So maybe that'll be a project for me between now and the next time we talk. And I've made a lot of models. I could even show you one that I've made, but there's a lot of different things you can do with our API as like a direct Google Sheets plugin. You want me to show you one that I made really quick?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Let me share this. I think you'll like it. So especially for altcoin traders, this is one of the things that I use. I kind of created it for myself actually, because I'm constantly looking for objective outliers that are happening across crypto, not just for Bitcoin, not just for Ethereum or XRP. Give me the top 300 or so market caps and tell me when there's suddenly a huge spike in active addresses or network growth. This is the leaderboard. I'll come back to this, but this is the main view. And you'll just see a bunch of red and blue squares. But everything here is updated daily, and each color is auto-generated based on how hot or cold the network has been. You'll see the y-axis here. This is the last 7 days for this row. And basically, these are all kind of the same. These 7 days, they all correlate with the projects. And you'll notice each project has a color to them. 0x is showing kind of orange. ELF is very blue. ApeCoin is very blue. You'll see, of course, Bitcoin over, it's all alphabetical. So Bitcoin's actually quite cold right now because it's in blue here. And you'll notice if I look at Bitcoin's box, let me zoom in so you guys don't have to squint here. So Bitcoin's box, just this little box right here, this is the latest day. You can see if I highlight August 24th, this is the latest close for Bitcoin's activity, and it's very cold compared to its average day. So this is kind of what we were talking about with the other theoretical model we were going to make. Yeah. We're comparing its current active addresses versus its average just over the past 3 months. I decided to keep it sort of short term, sort of mid-range instead of super long, because circumstances change over time and I didn't want to go too far out. But active addresses, network growth, very cold compared to normal. The only hot one I see here is age consumed, which means there's some dormant tokens that are moving right now. And a lot of coins are taking profit from older, stagnant, addresses. But for the most part, this tells me Bitcoin isn't suddenly seeing a huge amount of shifting because there's been a bit of a dip from the all-time high from last week or so. Meanwhile, Ethereum, since we're looking at top assets, Ethereum looks much better, where you can see it's still in orange. You can see like whale transactions. That's what this box represent. Very hot right now. Exchange inflow, outflow. This means there's a lot of coins moving off exchanges, which is a good sign. So very hot. This is basically like your spaceship dashboard, if you will, to look at which altcoins.
That's any coin you want before it pops. That gives you some feedback before it pops.
Exactly, and you can. I made this for myself, and I know that at first glance, I've gotten enough feedback from people where they're like, "Looks cool, but I don't know what the heck I'm looking at." I totally get it, but the more you use it, the more it starts to become intuitive. If I go to this row right here, all of these percentages are showing me the 1 day change. In this case, I'm looking at Chainlink, down 9% over the past 24 hours, down 9% over the past week, up 28% over the past 30 days, up 48% the past 90 days. So every one of these shows the 1 day, 7 day, 30 day, and 90 day change. And what you're ideally looking for is something that has not really gone up much, like Clearpool isn't doing very well, yet it has a ton of hot activity right now. it could be up to something. Of course, dependent on Bitcoin being able to get its footing back. We don't want to see Bitcoin crash, or else everything's still at risk. But you get the idea. You're trying to find data anomalies before the price reacts to it. So candidates like this, not investment advice. I don't know much about Clearpool at all. Some of you may. But this is kind of my inspiration to find daily things to write about, and give the audience that we have an update on anomalies before the prices react to them.
Okay. Can we have access to that, or no? That's a private thing.
Yeah, of course. So you have to have a trial for Sanbase Pro. Your first 2 weeks are free. You can just
where do I get that from? I have the Sanbase. I have it already. It's working. Where do I get access to that?
So you can just go to pricing, and you'll see the free button right here, and just click on default plan. And automatically, when you sign up, you don't get charged for 2 weeks. So you can explore. You just put in your info, explore the platform. If you decide it's not for you, you just rescind your account you made, and you don't pay anything. But while you're on a trial, or while you're a member paying $49 a month, there you go. Then I will provide you with the link and the extension, which is just called Sansheets. You'll find it on the Google, what's it called? The Google extension store, and it's free. And you just put in your API key that every single account on Santiment has. And once you plug that in, you'll just be able to copy this model and check in on it on a daily basis.
Okay, we're gonna, because I do have a membership like the pro one. So offline, after we finish, I'm gonna ask you how to do it, because I would love to do that. Because
I'll provide
that helps me a lot, to be honest. It helps in half my research that's there.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll provide you with the link to copy, and then the instructions on how to plug everything in. It's pretty simple, and I would love feedback. I think this is an underused tool, but if you're an altcoiner that likes to swing trade and jump into a hot network and out of a cold network, like this is your cheat sheet to find where you can look.
That's absolutely awesome. All right, let's move back to a couple of other questions I'm going to ask you about AI. How's Santiment leveraging AI and machine learning to enhance like predictability models for crypto markets and stuff like that?
Yeah, great question. So we have this entire tab here, our social trends tab, that is mostly AI driven, in order to give objective reports on which keywords or stories or trending tokens are hitting the mainstream and getting the most attention. We use AI to find keywords that are suddenly rising compared to their normal averages. You can see right here, our AI summary says token imposter hunt is the #1 trending keyword right now. And it's getting spammed all over X and Reddit, Telegram. With the whole AI summary, I'll let you read this. If you're watching on replay, just pause it. But you can see, every single keyword here has an AI summary. It even gives you the resources, tells you where it's trending, what kinds of keywords it's corresponded with. You can look at trending stories, which is also AI driven. You can see things like Monday morning dreams, 110K week surge, Galaxy jump soul, MicroStrategy Bitcoin strategy, WebEx 2025.
Top news.
Exactly. So if you're just logging on in your morning, having your cup of coffee, I really recommend using our social trends as the first thing you check on, because you'll see what the crowd is paying attention to and what they're either FOMOing into, budding out of, and what's just generally driving markets up and down. It's incredibly useful. We even have this trending coins dashboard. Give it a reload there. Let's try that again. There we go. So you can see all sorts of like niche coins that you've never really heard of getting objectively way higher discussion rates than they normally do.
I
This is just
checked this one. This is a feature I check. The sentiment of
Yeah.
trending coins. I check it, and before Chainlink popped, I noticed it going all the way up to the like second after Bitcoin for some period, and then the price popped afterwards. And I was like mentioning it on my live show in that regard.
Yeah, it's so helpful. And you can see the
100%.
ratio of positive versus neutral versus negative comments at any given time. This is actually a pretty large amount of negative comments, by the way. Over a third of all commentary.
For me, that's a good indicator. Is people are not overly bullish, they're not overly bearish. So that's where we're like ranging before the next leg, I believe, if it's up. Meanwhile, if it's majority positive, that means profit taking is going to start happening soon.
Correct. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say majority, but especially if you're seeing like over 60% or so, that to me is, a scary sign that there's too much FOMO. But right now it's just under 50%. That's not bad at all. It shows that there's a pretty legitimate amount of fear over this correction we've seen.
I remember when Link was there, it was 80% in the positive. So that was like a red flag for me. I was like, okay, so I'll take some profit.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have anything bad to say long-term about Chainlink, XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Most of these top caps, they're up there for a reason. But I will say that as far as like when Chainlink starts to pop off, social media goes nuts about it. They get very excited.
Yeah. Okay. That's for the AI side of things. What is Sentiment long-term vision in helping investors navigate the crypto market?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that a little bit, but honestly, our mission is just educating people and giving people a way to finally understand objectively and tangibly how markets, what really is driving markets up and down, whether it's whales accumulating hordes of Bitcoin, whether it's retail becoming overly fearful, whether it's different types of news stories or Trump's tariffs from a few months ago that just destroyed people's confidence in crypto temporarily. And then we suddenly get followed by a massive rally that leads us to multiple new all-time highs. So our goal really long-term is transparency in giving people digestible ways to understand what would normally be just too much noise and blockchain data that's too incomprehensible, and we make it comprehensible.
Simplify it.
Yeah.
I always tell a lot of projects I interview, a lot of whether it's a crypto project, whether it's on-chain analytics project like yourself or anything, we need to, sorry for the term, idiot-proof the process. Make it so simple that your average user can use it. That's what made McDonald's so successful. They made the cooking side of things so automated, so easy, like a 14-year-old, 15-year-old can do it. And same with the iPhone. When it first started, Steve Jobs, he made the iPhone so easy. Like I don't know if you remember that before that, the smartphones were BlackBerry and Palm Trio. I don't know. Do you remember
Nokia those? Flip phones? Yeah, Razors.
Yeah, so they made it nice. They made it you could do everything, but they simplified it. Anyone could use an iPhone. Anyone. And this is coming from an Android user. I'm an Android user, but
same
iPhone, anyone can use it. My mom can use one. Back in the days, press the middle button when you're stuck somewhere, and it'll take you back to the home screen. That's simplify it in a way. That's back in the days. Obviously now they're all touch, but simplify it so much that it's easy for everyone to use, and you control the market, and that's what they did. And same thing with crypto. I believe crypto is still too complicated for the average user. That's why they still tend to go to SEXs instead of decentralized exchanges. Hyperliquid did an awesome job, I have to admit. But in general, in use case for crypto is still complicated, like open a wallet, seed phrase, all that. For the average users, they don't know how to use all that. They wanted a simpler way. And same thing with the on-chain. When you're reading data, there's so much data. That's the beauty of crypto. You can track everything. But you tell the average person, yeah, that's gibberish for him. When you simplify it, the way you showed me now, a couple of the analytics, that makes life so much easier, and everyone starts understanding and trading and working better. So that's key. So I wholeheartedly agree with you.
Yeah, that's a really great way of putting it.
Yeah. All right. I want you to pick, if it was up to you, no, it is up to you to a certain level, but if you pick 3 key metrics that traders should track in 2025 to gain an edge, what 3 metrics would you choose? I know your favorite is MVRV. I know that much, but what else?
Yeah, MVRV is at the top. We've gone over all 3. I'll throw in a bonus one, but I think the top 3 would probably be positive versus negative sentiment, where you're looking for big anomalies like this to show that markets are likely to go down. Big anomalies like this to show markets are likely to go up when things are too negative. You've got the, that's just a correlation. I was going to show that. That's just the correlation with Bitcoin, gold, and the S&P 500 and how tight they are. I don't know if I'd call that a top metric, but it is useful and interesting. I would go back to the 10 to 10K BTC wallets and how much they're holding at any given time. Even if you're an altcoiner, you should be paying attention to this exact line, because if you start to see Bitcoin key stakeholders dumping, all of your altcoins are going to go down. I guarantee it. It's going to be that way for years and years. Maybe eventually some other coin will overtake Bitcoin. We've heard rumors and speculation about that for years, but it's no different than it was a decade ago. If Bitcoin is going down, everything goes down. So you should be paying attention to what key stakeholders are doing and ensure that they're continuing to accumulate. And then, yeah, I mentioned MVRV. Those would be my top 3. Just outside of that, I would probably say, I go back. This is just one of my templates that I use when I do my own live streams for our audience. I'd say funding rate is probably right up there, just on the outside. When you see big anomalies, I'll just show Binance by itself right now. I'm showing a bunch of different exchanges at the same time. But if you just look at Binance, right, when you see a ton of longs going on, that's a sign that liquidations can happen and eventually drive prices down. On the other hand, if you see a bunch of shorts, like right here, people did not believe that this post-tariff rally should have happened. So a bunch of shorts opened up, and then the shorts got liquidated and prices just went up with more rocket fuel. Same with back here. People did not believe that this crash was over back in September of 2024. A bunch of shorts come in, they get liquidated, rocket fuel. So I think that funding rate is an underused metric.
But on the flip side of it, does it help as well? Because I'm seeing a bunch of green. How do you measure the versus in the green? The green doesn't always work. The red is working regularly because we're in bull market, I'm assuming.
So it's confusing, but at least for Binance and BitMEX and some of the largest exchanges, their resting state is at like 0.01. So it's a little confusing and diverting, but what it's really trying to tell you is this is neutral. I've actually told the devs, maybe we should make this yellow, because it's above 0 is actually neutral. It's just a resting state. But the bright greens and the reds are really all you should pay attention to.
Okay, so the bright green and red. Yeah, I think if you could change the colors, that will make it easier to understand. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. All right. Finally, since we have a strong community in the MENA region, and we do have a very huge community in the MENA region, I believe UAE is the crypto hub of the world. Even though Trump, I know you're from America, he wants to make America the crypto hub of the world. I personally feel when I go, the UAE, Dubai, Abu Dhabi especially, it's becoming the hub. It's the majority of Western companies, crypto companies, are all based in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. The regulatory framework, the support from the government, all that everything is happening in the UAE. However, very little I noticed support for the community, the Arabic-speaking community in the MENA region. We bring the companies there. All the major conferences are there. Everything there. Very little support with that. Is there anything you guys are doing for the Arabic-speaking communities, particularly support and anything that is being done there? That's a question I ask all my people I interview, because that's one of my mission. That's why I do my content all in Arabic, because one of the things I see, we are the hub. How come no one is supporting? It's a big chunk of population there. So I think the 3rd most spoken language in the world, 3rd or 4th, I believe. is Arabic, but rarely anyone supports it.
Yeah, I want, we're more of a numeric, universal language type of website. I know that's not a fair excuse to say that we don't play favorites, but to us, our goal is to provide data that is able to cross through any country and make instantly useful for you. That said, I've handled some translation accounts that Santiment was running on X temporarily. We had representatives for Arabic. We had a Hindu. We had a few other Middle Eastern languages in different accounts that have been essentially abandoned for the last 6 to 12 months that I would like to resurrect. Usually what we do is we provide anyone who wants to translate the posts that I and our other team members put out, as long as they just copy paste and translate accurately for their own language that they speak, we give them indefinite Sanbase Pro, Sanbase API access. And it's a pretty good deal. The problem is after a couple months, the translators burn out or they get too busy with something else. I don't speak Arabic. I probably will never be fluent in that language, but I do trust if I get the right people that they can kind of carry the torch and be able to manage bringing our content more smoothly to the Arabic community. And I know there is a big UAE Arabic community out there. We've talked to many collaborators. We see how big the community is. So
the thing is,
transparently, I would like to, and I don't consider myself an expert, but I trust the people who tell me that they need more. Turkey is one of those countries that we've done some special things with. And I think UAE is probably at the top of our list.
Yeah. Look, I'll tell you, the thing is, when you talk Arabic, I know it's UAE, but when you talk Arabic, you have around 400 to 500 million Arabic-speaking population worldwide. Like if you check my YouTube algorithm, for example, my top my top 5, there's obviously Saudi Arabia, UAE, there's Algeria, Morocco, but at the same time there's America and Germany. My top followers in America and Germany, my top 6 or 7, I believe. So people that are migrating overseas, they're still speaking Arabic and prefer listening to things in their mother tongue. So Arabic is not just one country, UAE. It's a big demographic of people that are speaking it. So that's one thing. Second, regarding Santiment, I actually share a lot of your content and translate it, and we do our own. I've noticed even Santiment shared our tweets. We do some analysis our own on Santiment and tag you, and a couple of times we do it in English and Arabic, and you actually share it, which we found really, really helpful, to be honest. That's a great thing to see, and it's helpful because I saw some of the benefits that you can get from that community. It's a huge community, and they will benefit from it, and you guys will benefit as well. Obviously, you have a subscription-based model, and so it's a win-win for both groups. I believe it's a great opportunity. If anyone in the community is interested, I'm happy to put you in touch with Brian. But either way, it was a pleasure having you, Brian, with us. I'm gonna stay online after we end this video to discuss this couple of things, and that I absolutely love, and I would like for you to show me how it works.
Let's do it. This has been wonderful. I love the questions. We're very open, even when it comes to supporting UAE and various areas of the world. We love to talk openly about what we can do and make things better and more accessible. So hopefully this was the first of many, and I'm looking forward to the next market chat.
Definitely. Thank you, everyone. Please don't forget, like, subscribe, and I'll see you soon in a new video and a market update. Thank you.